John, thank you so much for joining me today. How are
Yeah,
you?
hey, Emmanuel.
So we are here to talk about 18 and a half, which is actually quite a fun movie. I love movies like this, especially when in reality we have no idea what happened. Okay,
Yeah,
we do have an idea what happened. We just can't, it just hasn't been proven. Tell us a little bit about it.
yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I was drawn to it. I think, I'd never seen something like this before. There's certainly films that are like it, but it's its own unique thing. It's very creative. And to take that 18 and a half minute gap on the Watergate tapes and imagine what it could have been and what happened during it, I thought was really intriguing. So yeah, I thought that was exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, why not? Why isn't this a plausible story
Yeah.
of what happened? Now you play John, you play a reporter who is trying to get in touch with this transcriber who is very famously known for in history for my foot slip. And so tell us about Paul and your approach to playing him.
Yeah, so Paul is a reporter for the New York Times. He finds out that Connie might have the 18 and a half minute gap in the tape that's missing from the Oval Office and Nixon. So he wants to track that down, obviously, because that's a big lead. But what he doesn't understand is the chaos that he's actually going to unleash and what he's really getting into. And that all kind of spirals, into chaos throughout the night that Connie and Paul are together. I mean, for me approaching it, I really just kind of went back and looked at those movies that basically inspired this movie. All the President's Men, 3 Days of the Condor, The Conversation, French Connection, and studied those guys like Robert Redford, and Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, how they approached the heroes of these sort of what seemingly is insignificant, whether it's a reporter or something like that, and how it can spiral into something much greater where there's conspiracy and intrigue surrounding them.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because yeah, the big story, of course, is the scandal, and in a lot of projects that is the case. But it usually is a reporter. And usually that is the catalyst to the turning of events in a lot of these things where they've done their research, and just that one article, that one newscast, it sets everything on fire.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. I mean, I think there's something. I think that peeling the onion away and figuring out what's at the core. Previously in noir, it was detectives or
Mhm.
gumshoes kind of who were doing that, and then I think the idea of a reporter doing that, we realize they do uncover mysteries, so it's a cool in.
Now you said you had checked out other actors who had been in films of this caliber before and the same subject matter. What were some of the things that you noticed in their performances that you were able to zero in on?
I mean, I think what I noticed most is in those stories there was kind of more of a theatricality than what we have in how we tell stories on film nowadays. And I think both Will and I sort of leaned into that. There's a quickness, there's a cadence, um, there's a pitter patter of language. And I think both Will and I, especially in the early scenes when they're uncovering the mystery, we sort of leaned into that.
Yeah, I like kind of your character has such like a paranoia to him.
Yeah.
There's this one part you're like the feds might be listening, and then you're like the Post might be listening. And it's like, well, in his mind, it's everyone's listening, and it was
Well,
kind
I
of
think
funny.
that that comes from like the conversation or 3 Days of the Condor, where you have these detectives or CIA agents who start to feel like everyone's kind of coming
Mhm.
at them, and then they start to get paranoid. Or I mean, you could even go that's a big like Rear Window or something like that, where you just sense there's this conspiracy around you. And I think that heightens the stakes. It keeps you guessing, and keeps the audience one step behind in a way.
And it's interesting though because it's through your performance and through Will's performance that, and then also kind of the knowledge of kind of the subject matter that I felt that in the film that a lot of the scenes obviously were just you and her. Sometimes it was is you and Vondi and Catherine. It was very limited the amount of people on screen, but because of of your guys's portrayal of paranoia and just kind of just being anxious about trying to get this done, it did the to me the room always felt a lot more crowded.
Mm. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe it's I think that's probably just the tension of the, because there's a clock, on this
Mhm.
story. They got to resolve this before the day is done, basically. So I think that stress and that push and that drive, really lets the audience lean in and become a part of it, as opposed to sit back and let it wash over them.
Yeah, yeah, because I felt like, all right, when who is it? Who is it? The guy in the is it the guy in the boat? We meet a couple of different characters.
Yeah,
The motel owner, and this other couple, and then these other I guess hippies you'd call
yeah,
them, and it's kind of this mystery and trying to pinpoint exactly maybe one mistake that they make that you're like, oh, that's them, but very
yeah.
very well done.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So the meat and potatoes of this film is your interaction with Willa, and tell me about working with her and kind of how you guys built a little bit of chemistry.
Well, Will is a fantastic actor. You're always lucky when you're surrounded by somebody who's a generous and fun scene partner to work off of. And we were also lucky that this story, we didn't know each other. Will and I didn't know each other before this, so we were getting to know each other as we made the movie. And in the script, Connie and Paul, they just meet for the first time, and they're getting to know each other as the script progresses. So you're really watching two people, Will and myself, get to know each other and build a relationship and develop chemistry naturally. And that plays out on screen. But because she is so good, and because we could, toss ideas around and have fun, I think that is what helped keep it also really alive.
Yeah, because that opening scene when you guys are the bar restaurant, I think it's a pub actually. I might be wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
um it's very your interaction is so important to kind of setting the tone of who she is, who you are, and then all right, now we're going to go on this adventure. um how did you guys approach that scene in particular? Because it's really a trying to gain each other's trust at least enough to follow to a motel.
right. Yeah, I mean, really, a lot of that scene, especially, is, I mean, in so many of the scenes, is the writing. Daniel Moya wrote a scene that there were clear objectives and clear stakes involved. Um, so really, and because we were afforded the kind of luxury of just sitting at a table across from each other and talking, we could just sort of let those words roll off and just listen and focus on each other. Um, and get the whole story going. And that was the first thing we shot together.
Mhm.
And I think it just basically having good words, having good dialogue, just saying it, listening to each other, allowed it to kind of start the ball rolling.
And you guys stayed in basically at location where you guys shot this, which was
Right.
already I had talked to Dan last week, and that it was perfect. It was as an older place that fit the aesthetic and the time period that you guys wanted to accomplish. What was that experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very cool place called Silver Sands Motel. We were all staying there. It was like summer camp, you know. We were all there. We got up in the morning. You got into costume. Everything was right there on the grounds of the motel. You'd walk down the set. You'd shoot all day long. Come back, have dinner. Sit on the water. It was just, it was cool. And you don't get that a lot in film.
That that sounds
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
One question that I've asked Willa and also Dan, because I like different perspectives, is
Mhm.
why do you think that we keep coming back to films like this or time periods like this of uh of crisis where political scandal and wanting to know more about what actually happened?
Right. I mean, I think uh, the Watergate story in particular is really intriguing because there is still an element of mystery around it. But also, I think it's kind of the beginning of what we are experiencing now politically. I think before this, there was a little more civility. Um, now it's this side's more corrupt, that side's more corrupt, and I think a lot of that started at Watergate. So, and also it has kind of become a novelty now. It's become almost less serious than what we're going through currently. So I think people like to revisit it because there's still mystery surrounding it, and also because it is what led us to where we're at now.
What is your reaction also to the reception of the film? Because it's been playing at different festivals, and from what I've been able to conjure up, and from my personal experience, I have found that it's been very well received.
I don't know. That's beyond my pay grade. It's still only been seen by a limited amount of
Mhm,
people. There's a lot more eyes that are going to be on it in the coming weeks. So we'll see. You're always going to have critics.
mhm.
I'm glad that that a lot of people are enjoying it, and I hope more people enjoy it. Um, but uh, this was a project made from a lot of love and a lot of care by people who really care about film and about cinema and the cinema going experience, actually seeing movies in a theater and an art house theater at that. Um, so I think if at the end of the day, if people walk away with anything, I hope they appreciate the care and love that went into making this film.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, I think that's why I enjoyed it. It's a film that I would love to revisit again in theaters. Obviously, because of doing my job and things, I get to screen it at home a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something that I think should be enjoyed in the theater, like I believe all films should. That's
Yes,
just my
exactly.
personal opinion. Excuse my cat. And you actually answered my next question, which was about what you hoped audiences take away from this is
Yeah.
Schmidt. I
My
apologize.
my cat's upstairs. Yeah, he's hiding upstairs.
He usually is pretty good, but I guess today he decided he wanted
Yeah,
more
my
interference.
cat would do the same thing too if he was yeah.
John, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All
Uh,
right.
and congratulations on the film. I thought it was really well done. There's some elements of it that I did want to talk about, but I want people to enjoy the movie. So
Oh yeah, we can't give away too much. There's other things that happen, but that's the mystery of it.
okay, so I'll just wrap it up with this. Did you have fun with some of those scenes?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big action sequence later in the movie that was a lot of, that was fun to make. It's always fun to do those things. Yeah.
Great. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah,
John, again, thank you so much for your time. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
certainly. Good
All right.
talking to you.
Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.